Good morning. I haven't done a September update, so I wanted to quick do an update of what our gardens are looking like in September. So we're now into the beginning of fall. The leaves are starting to change. The weather is definitely changing. It's definitely getting pretty cool at night, and the days are cooler. So crops are not growing as much, but you can still do a lot this time of year. There's still some things I'm transplanting. I'm still putting lettuce in the ground. I'm starting spinach. So a lot of that spinach will go in when our tomatoes come out in about a month. And I'll show you here what I'm doing with the lettuce. We're interplanting them with our tomatoes. So let's start here. Let's start at the bottom here. It's got a hedgerow, and we had lettuce here. We still have salad greens at the bottom we're harvesting. This was beans. We put the buckwheat. This was carrots. It's just empty now. So we'll just compost that here shortly, probably the next month or this fall. This was buckwheat that was side down and is now dying off, and kind of mulches the surface and protects the surface from hard rains. What? I don't care. So here we have our interplanting of lettuces with tomatoes. So these there's still some suckers coming, so I occasionally take them off, but they're pretty much done growing. They're just filling out their tomatoes that they have now and ripening those. So they don't take too much from the soil. So you can see there, these were just transplanted, so they're still kind of small, but you see they're growing and gaining some size down there. So they seem to be doing just fine. And so we have all head lettuce in this bed, and then this bed here will be all salad greens. So we have about 4 more flats to go in, and that'll probably for sure fill these 2 beds of lettuce. We might have to take some of the determinate tomatoes out to fit the rest in. But we're still getting tomatoes out here. We only harvest about every 4 days now since it's cooler. And we still are getting probably about, 60, 70 pounds of tomatoes, which is still a nice amount. Here we have our mini sweet peppers. This will go till it frosts. These we have our carrots that we're harvesting right now, and these are beautiful. These are nice.
Wow, that's huge.
Nice long carrot. These are bolero. The bolero is a variety we grow for fall and winter. It's a great storage carrot. So we're actually harvesting that right now for our CSA share. Just more salad greens. These are carrots here. These are more for storage. These will be ready towards probably November when it gets cold. We got our sweet potatoes. We're working on harvesting. We got these 2 beds done. We need to harvest this bed. We pulled the vines off, but we need to harvest them yet. Got our strawberries. So these definitely have filled in a little bit too much. So we'll either come through and pull those, or what I might do is I might just put down, we have strips of silage tarp. I'll put those down to kind of smother out the runners. We got more strawberries. So this is about perfect, this bed. And this bed was planted, it's not overly crowded, but it's filled out the bed nicely. This was planted towards the end of June, so we put it in late. Kind of as an experiment, I interplanted this variety with broccoli, and it seems to have done just fine. So that's something I may do more of in the future. I don't necessarily have to get strawberries in the ground in April or May. I can wait, get a spring crop, then put my strawberries in, and then harvest the strawberries the next year. It's just hard to keep a bed of strawberries all year and not be able to harvest it at all. So if you can get any other crop in there, it's just a win-win. Got more lettuce here, cover crop of buckwheat. The last of our yellow squash and zucchini. The zucchini is a lot better. This yellow squash has powdery mildew pretty good, which is typical this time of year. More buckwheat. We just throw buckwheat in wherever we have openings. And Here we have another row of sweet potatoes. This was put in really late too, probably beginning of July. But I've checked and there are some nice little sweet potatoes there. This is the winter squash we just harvested, so we'll need to pull these vines out. Got our hedgerow of raspberries, which we are now picking. We've been picking for probably, I don't know, almost a month. There's not a ton in this row, but this is only the second year for the raspberry patch, and each year it's gotten more and more filled out. Got another hedgerow. Got nice perennials in there. The watermelon are pretty much done. They've kind of regrown and want to put out more little melons, but they're not going to mature in time. Got green beans, a lot of green beans here that we just like to have and for as long as we can till it frosts. Got more winter carrots. These are for storage. So we do a lot of storage carrots. We like to juice them in the winter, and I'd rather have too many carrots than not enough. And if we don't need them, the carrots are really good at just aerating the soil. So if you have nice soil, they'll tap down really far and kind of continue to break it up. So we have a nice crop of buckwheat. It's just about I don't think the flowers are opening enough for the pollinators to be on it, but they're just starting to want to open. So our bees on the property will really be going after that probably in the next couple days. Got our hoop house. So we have celery here that is for the fall, winter, till it frosts. And here we have our strawberry experimental bed. So these are really starting to take off. So when we put these in, they only had, I don't know, 2 or 3 leaves. So this one has 3 or 5 now. So they've put on a couple of new ones at least. So yeah, they're looking good. I have high hopes for them. And here's a crop we're excited about. This is turmeric right here. It's growing nicely. And then ginger right here. We already harvested one, and I'm kind of excited to harvest it all. Now we will just slowly pull the ginger because it doesn't store very well. So we just harvest it as we need it. If we harvest it all now, then a lot of it will kind of dry up and not be usable. So we'll actually have that ginger for sale this week for our CSA members, and then we'll probably have it available on Friday at our market. And here we have another hedgerow of these are black raspberries that we planted. There's sweet potatoes in between there, which I probably shouldn't have done, but oh well, the black raspberries are still doing fine. And then there's eggplant up there. Here we just have succession plantings of spinach, radishes, and this I'll all cover with row cover if need be. That's why I put all these in the same area that I can cover with row cover easily if I need to. So we have, there's some baby kale, it's not ready yet. There's some arugula, not quite ready yet, probably be ready next week actually. Radishes, we got some spinach, more radishes there. There are turnips that we harvested last week for the CSA shares, and we left the smaller ones to size up, so we'll be able to harvest those probably this weekend for our market. There's more radishes, there's baby kale. Here's our last planting of radishes for the outside. I'm hoping they don't freeze by the time we can harvest them. And then I just made our planting of radishes for in the hoop house, our last planting of radishes. So the last one I'm doing in the hoop house because it will be pretty cold by the time I harvest those, and hopefully we can get a couple extra weeks of radishes. Okay, I will when I'm done. So here's buckwheat. Nice cover crop there, and that may not mature, but it at least provides cover, provides roots for the soil life to stay active on. These actually leeks are starting to come out of it. They've been in there all year. They were stunted for the longest time. The soil wasn't very good, and we had a wet period, and it kind of just stunted them, but they're starting to. We went through and pulled the big ones, so these smaller ones are sizing up. Got kale still, just a little bit of buckwheat to fill out those beds. Here we have our peppers, all of our peppers still. So we got plenty of peppers coming on. And here we have some herbs that we're going to try for the winter. So we have cilantro here, and then we have parsley here. They're still young, I just put them in last week. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I know they a lot of times they might even, I mean, they usually die off outside, but in the hoop house I'm hoping that I can at least keep them alive, and then in the spring they'll take off, and if they do go to seed, even if they don't do much, but if they go to seed, then I can collect the seed. So we have turnips, our last planting of turnips. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these we may not even harvest for 2.5, 3 months, but you got to get them in now, because the more days you lose now of growing, the longer it pushes it on the back end. So I mean, losing a week of growing time now equals 3 weeks of growing in November and December. So it's pretty critical that your plantings are on time and early enough in order to have them ready come cold spell and when the days are shorter. We got beets. I don't think these are quite ready. Yep, they're not quite ready yet. But we're in a little bit of a lull with the beets. So we have those, and then this planting. This one's not actually our last planting. We have one more planting after this that I'm not sure if it'll be too late for those or not, but oh well, nothing else will have baby beets. So that's the garden. So all the beds are pretty well, I mean, there's occasional beds opening up that are empty now, but we like to keep the beds as full as we can. Look at these carrots. Long. So this is in a bed. Okay, I will say I forked the bed with a broad fork before planting. Just if nothing else, it makes harvesting them a lot easier, because then we don't have to fork it when we harvest. But this bed here is a no-till bed. When we set up the bed, we didn't even till before we put our mulch down, and that would have been, when was that, 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
Sounds about right.
So yeah, I mean, you don't have to till your bed to have good structure or to have long carrots. So there's my foot. That's kind of hard to see. Not quite as long as my foot, but so my foot's about 12 inches. Those are probably consistently 9-inch carrots. Yeah, Bolero is more of an aggressive carrot too, so it does tend to tap through the soil pretty well. Thanks for watching. Until next time, eat well, live well.